Judge Vonda B. Court is now in session. Judge, this is the case of the Kennedys.
Thank you. You all may be seated. Okay, Mr. Kennedy, you brought this case before the court.
Yes, ma'am.
What's going on?
So I'm sharing custody with our 12-year-old daughter now, and I'm just wanting a little more help with finances because as she's getting older, expenses are getting a little higher, and sports, dances, going out hanging with girls, and yeah, I just want a little more help on my end. I'm paying insurance already. And,
Okay. How much are you paying in insurance?
$130.
All right. And what is your daughter's name?
Autumn.
Autumn. Oh, what a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Autumn. Okay. So what type of expenses does she have that are increasing?
Yeah, so she's doing volleyball right now, and we're thinking that she's going to be doing that in high school as well.
Okay.
So just, athletic wear and then traveling, going to places. I want to go and support her and as well as her, but, I'm the one having to drive and take her if I don't want her to ride the bus because I don't feel her safe doing that.
Okay. Is this a school bus or?
Yeah, it's a school bus.
With her teammates?
With her teammates, yes.
And you don't feel that she should?
All right,
No.
fam, the stage is set. Judge Bunn is calling this courtroom to order, and here comes Mr. Kennedy laying down the issue. His daughter Autumn's growing up, and it's getting expensive. I mean, who hasn't felt that pinch? Sports, dances, clothes, insurance, all these costs stack up fast. What's interesting is his focus on wanting more financial help, not just because of the basics, but also because he wants to personally drive her instead of trusting the school bus. So question for y'all. Would you let your kid ride with teammates or insist on driving them yourself? Drop your thoughts below. This shows right away that there's some protective vibes mixed with financial concerns. Let's see how this plays out.
Ride with her teammates?
If it's really far away, maybe like an hour or more, I'll
Okay.
drive her, but if it's 30 minutes or less, I'll usually let her typically go.
Okay, that's understandable. Okay, is there anything else you want me to know before I move over to her?
She's just a growing girl, and girls are expensive, as they say, so.
I mean, we are. We have a lot of stuff that we need, so yeah. Ma'am, is there anything you want to add or subtract from what he said?
Yes, Your Honor, I do feel that he's trying to take advantage of my new relationship.
Okay, tell me about this new relationship.
Well, I can't really help who I have fallen in love with.
Whoa, the plot thickens. Mrs. Kennedy is basically saying, hold up, you're trying to cash in on my new hubby's success? She's bringing receipts about her $500 weekly allowance, which honestly doesn't sound crazy high for a CEO's wife. And Mr. Kennedy? He's not having it, calling out that her new husband's money shouldn't affect child support because that cash isn't his. Classic courtroom tension right here. So, I gotta ask, who do you side with? Is it fair for Mr. Kennedy to expect more support just because she's remarried, or is Mrs. Kennedy right to separate their finances? I'm curious how you all would play this if you were the judge.
My new husband is a fantastic provider. However, I do get an allowance, and it isn't as much as you would think coming from, well, my husband's a CEO of an energy company, so you would expect a huge allowance, but obviously he has to protect all of his hard-earned income.
What type of allowance do you receive?
About $500 a week.
$500 a week, okay. All right.
So, which really isn't that big a deal. Obviously.
That big a deal in terms of the amount of money, or you paying child support for the child living with him and having increased expense?
Well, I don't think it's that big a deal to Mr. Kennedy because he has a pretty healthy income himself.
But you do understand his income does not have anything to do with an increase in what you should be paying in child support, right?
Yes, I understand that, but what I
Okay.
don't think has been considered yet is the fact that I set aside furthering my education, though I wanted to pursue that so that he could go get his MIS.
Here's the cold truth bomb from the judge. Child support is about your income, not your spouse's. So Mrs. Kennedy's dreams of factoring in all the money she could have had while married? Nope. That's for divorce court, not child support. Hearings. It's a tough pill, but super important legally. This is where the courtroom gets real because emotions meet cold, hard law. You feel that tension? Also, side note, Mrs. Kennedy wanting to go back to school while expecting more support? Do you think that's reasonable or a bit off track? Let me know your take.
MIS degree and then a master's in something. So I'm not sure that it's fair. I would like to consider all the money that wasn't spent on me that should have been spent on me while we were married.
Okay, yeah, no, that's not how this works. And sir, she says she gets a $500 a week allowance from her husband, and who is a CEO of an energy company. Briefly, how much money does your husband make?
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot?
I think so.
When you say a lot, is it like in the 200,000s, 300,000s?
Well, the car that he drives was about 200,000. So I'm thinking you'd probably have to
You
make
only
more
get a
than that.
$500 a week allowance? You know what? That's not my business. That's not the reason I'm here. I'm not going to even entertain that.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'll just move on. Sir, do you know how much money her husband makes a year?
I don't.
Okay, this part low-key got me laughing. Calling the new hubby the Steve Jobs of the town energy. That's some serious flex. But Judge Bunn shuts that down, reminding everyone that no, Mrs. Kennedy's new husband's millions don't boost her child support payments. Mr. Kennedy's like, I don't care if he drives a $200K car, it's not my business. Honestly, that's a moment where you see just how complicated money and relationships get post-divorce. What would you do if you were in Mr. Kennedy's shoes? Would you focus only on your income or try to factor in the spouse's wealth?
But he's the Steve Jobs of the town of energy,
Steve Jobs.
so to say.
So let me ask you this. Are you expecting her child support to be based on his Steve Jobs?
No,
job?
his success has nothing to do with me or my daughter or our
Okay.
daughter. And like I said, I just want a little more help because she's
Okay.
getting older. And, if she's happily married with whoever and how big his wallet is, that is totally up to her.
Okay, well, I'm glad that's not what you were doing because you can't do that anyway. But what we can do, ma'am, is make you pay more in child support because at this point you've been paying zero. Because from what I see, you're a stay-at-home mom, which is absolutely okay. But you do understand that your child has increased expenses, correct?
Yes, I do see that.
Okay,
but
so after yes, I do see that, that means that I don't need any further response. So you understand that, right?
well, how much are we talking about?
We're gonna base it off that $500 a week allowance that you make.
Okay.
So, based on that, I have your gross at $2,000 a month. After you take out the calculations for the taxes, your net comes out to $1,662.53, okay? That would give you a child support obligation of $266. However, you also heard him say that he pays $130, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In medical insurance for the child. You're gonna have to reimburse that to him. So, in addition to the $266 a month for child support, you add the $130, your child support obligation monthly comes out to $396.
Can I say something?
Sure, but make it brief.
Okay, well, I don't know if he's still subscribing.
Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. The judge breaks down the math. Mrs. Kennedy's $500 weekly allowance means about $266 monthly child support, plus the $130 insurance reimbursement, totaling $396. Not bad, pretty clear. But then, Mrs. Kennedy throws in the curveball about her husband's psychic payments? Like, what? This was definitely a "what's that got to do with it" moment. The judge's reaction says it all. Personal expenses like psychics don't affect child support. That's pure courtroom realness right there. Have you ever had to deal with unexpected or extra expenses when figuring out money stuff? Share your story.
to the same psychic,
Okay.
but she charges, I think it's $412 a month.
Okay.
And-
What does this psychic have to do with these numbers?
Well, because I just feel like if he can afford the psychic, then maybe he can afford the insurance. And I guess I feel that that is money that could have gone towards my education while we were married.
Okay, well, I've already said no to that. That has nothing to do with me. I mean, you should address that in your divorce, obviously. And whatever he pays, if he in a psychic, if he chooses to do that, that has nothing to do with your responsibility, your financial responsibility to your daughter. So if there's nothing further from either of you, you all are dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the judge has spoken. No more arguments. Case dismissed. You can feel the relief, but also the finality of it all. This moment seals the deal. Child support adjusted, personal side stories shut down. It's like watching a real-life drama where everyone's got to accept the tough decisions. So, question time. If you were the judge, would you have ruled differently or stuck with this decision? Would you increase support more or less? Hit me up with your thoughts.
Hi guys, we've now reached the educational portion of our show. I just wanted to go over what you all just watched in the case of the Kennedy.
Time for the legal lowdown. Texas law lets child support change if things materially change, like income or expenses, but it's super clear the law ignores the spouse's income. So Mrs. Kennedy's allowance is the key number here, not her CEO hubby's fat paycheck. This is crucial for anyone dealing with custody and support. Your new relationships don't automatically change child support amounts. It's all about what you make. This legal principle keeps things fair, but can also be frustrating depending on your situation. Do you think this rule is fair, or does it ignore some real-life financial complexities? Let me know your take.
So the parties, they were married previously, no longer together, they're divorced, right? Mom is now remarried to a CEO of an energy company. Dad is looking for her to pay an increase from zero amount of child support to something more that he is able to financially support the children. Not only can she be able to pay child support, that answer is yes, but I also want you to pay attention to the spouse in this case. So under Texas law, whenever there is a change in material or substantial circumstance, the courts are able to increase child support. So even if you were not necessarily in a court ordered to pay an amount of child support, that can be increased if there is testimony to show that you actually do have some more money. Well, in this particular case, the spouse made a lot of money. Well, unfortunately, under Texas law, a spouse's income is not calculated in terms of child support for what the other person has to pay. You only can pay child support, the person only has to pay child support based on the amount of money that they were receiving. So her child support amount was based on the allowance that she was receiving from her husband, and that's what determined her child support obligation. Do you know of anyone who's experienced a similar situation?
So here's the 411 on the Kennedys' case. Divorced parents battling over child support as their daughter grows up. Dad wants more financial help. Mom's remarried to a wealthy CEO, but the law says her allowance, not her husband's income, matters for child support. The judge carefully weighs the facts, dismisses distractions like psychics and past marriage spending, and sets a reasonable increase based on her actual income. The bigger picture? Courts aim to protect the child's needs while sticking to clear legal rules about who pays what. If you found this breakdown helpful or want more courtroom drama and real-life legal insights, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and hit subscribe so you never miss an update. Also, comment your thoughts. Who do you think handled this better, Mr. or Mrs. Kennedy? And where are you watching from? Let's get the convo going.